in out with Greg's schedule, but we are back. Ollie and Greg here on Garage Couple. What is going on, Garage Couple fans? On this week's episode, we are getting a new set of Hookeroad fender replacements. Now, you know we have those nasty plastic ones on our TJ03 and we're ready to replace it.
If you're just tuning in for the first time, be sure to watch this series from the beginning to just see how far this has come. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as it helps us grow tremendously, more than you could ever imagine. And be sure to stay tuned for this entire series. We have a lot of cool things planned, including these Hookeroad flat fenders. Let's get it done the Garage Couple way with some tools and some good times.
Let's do it. Why we went with Hookeroad. First off, it's fairly affordable. We've worked with these products before. It's very user-friendly, and we're always trying to show you what you can do yourself in the garage with simple hand tools. And this install is just that. We're gonna use an air gun just to speed up the process, but everything in this install can be done with those simple hand tools. Why we're changing the fenders. For those of you that have been our OGs from day one, you know that my 2015 had the same fenders that are plastic, that wear out with the sun, and are gross, and you really need to replace. I guess they don't want us to, go with the install, huh? Can you guys hear the airplanes? I wonder. For our OG subscribers and those who are just tuning in, you know that I also on the 2015 JK had these stock fenders that are gross. They don't give you clearance, they don't look very nice, and the color wears out super quick. So we replaced them. Also, if you're planning on upgrading your tires, you need more clearance, which is why we are changing the fenders. So I guess I told you that means we come in with bigger tires. I won't tell you the details. But how about the LJ back there? How does that look? You guys need the walk around yet? Should we?
No, I think we should save that for another episode.
Alrighty, let's unbox.
And let's see how long it takes to get this job done. I mean, in the grand scale of things, this is, I'd say, somewhere like a 6 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. So why don't we go ahead and see? Hopefully this video helps you guys out.
Let's go.
Go ahead and catch.
No. If that was open, you would have been in massive trouble, sir. Trouble.
Well, it's a good thing it's not open.
On the double.
Wow, these are gonna look so awesome.
Whoa.
All right, one shot. We have been generating so much cardboard trash. Looks like it came with a set of instructions here that have unfortunately been damaged by the rain. What we will do is we will put in a PDF set of instructions in the video description below.
Do it now. Check us out on TikTok and Instagram. Super funny content.
We make some pretty good stuff. What do you think?
I think so.
I guess we're a little biased, but got our hardware. Let's get a better look at these bad boys. I can already tell these are pretty awesome, and the inspiration behind this Jeep is using decent quality parts at a more affordable price. We'll do something totally different with that LJ. You just wait. But this is going to be a more moderate build, a little more affordable. So,
yeah, that roof rack's moderate, huh?
well, sometimes for things like that are critical, that's going to carry our weight. You definitely want a product that's going to stand the test of time, and the absolute best one is that Garvin Adventure Rack of all of the different brands. That one is the most durable, and we're going to put that to the test not too far from now. Take a look at that fender. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Let's go ahead and open that other one and get some close-up.
That is all the hardware, which is pretty surprising when you're thinking about fenders that are really heavy duty, but I'm glad it's not that many. That means it's gonna be a quick install. Now look at the quality. That looks amazing.
Very first step is to remove two 13mm bolts on the rear side of the fender. Now the instructions say they're 7mm, but they're not. They're 13. Let's take out two of those bolts now. Man, that was easy. Next thing you're gonna do is unplug your blinker wiring harnesses, and we're gonna set them aside because we'll eventually have to replace them with something else later. As you know, this kit doesn't come with any replacement lights. All you have to do, twist it counterclockwise and pull straight down. That is for the side marker there. And now, time to do front blinker, which also just twists counterclockwise and comes right out.
Next step is to remove those 3 bolts. Keep them because you're going to reuse them. Show them what, Greg.
So that first step was our bad. There, we mistake the 7mm bolts for the 13s in the back. There's actually many 7mm bolts. We don't have a 7mm head, but we have a 5/16, fits perfectly snug. Go ahead and remove them. We'll show you now. I think there's what, 5,
10.
6?
There was 10.
10 of them. Okay, so this might take a little bit.
Let me show you where they're at. Change.
So here's where we are. I ended up taking out most of these, but 2 of them are just spinning freely. There's nothing in the back to grab, like there's no like nut or anything like that on there. So what I tried to do is I tried to use the flathead as a pry bar as I unscrewed. Didn't really want to go, so now we go to option number C. We go to mallet and we give it a couple taps from the rear. Unfortunately, there's no room for the mallet.
So option D.
Just pry it out. Now look at that. The whole rivet came with it. Now I'm not sure if I'm gonna have to reuse that or not, but you know, there's really no other way I could think of right now other than to just pry it out.
After reading the instructions carefully, that whole panel is gonna come off anyways, so we're just gonna leave that last screw that's stuck in there in that spot and continue on with the install. Let's do it.
I wonder why we don't just tear it off. Why am I even dealing with it?
If your Jeep has that extra plastic paneling, go ahead and remove it.
There are 2 more 13mm bolts that we're gonna reuse, as well as the 13mm bolt holding in this hood latch. So let's take those out now. Make sure you put them somewhere special so you can find them later.
Using a 15mm, go ahead and remove the hood latch. Now if you just try to unbolt from the bottom, it's gonna slip and the hood latch is gonna turn. So we use an adjustable wrench to hold it in place while you unscrew the bottom. Once it's broken, you can go ahead and use your hand to hold it in place.
So here are things that are much more difficult in person than when you watch videos on them. So this hood latch does not remove, and when you look, how about the planes? So we have spent the last 30 minutes trying to remove this hood latch. The problem is when you take the 15mm bolt, when you try to loosen it on the rear, the whole thing spins. And if you hold this steady, the bolt actually spins in the hinge itself. So this is a terrible, terrible design. And what we're gonna do now is try to press out this so that we're able to better hold it and unscrew it. So what I did was I cut off this end just using a saw, and now I'm gonna tap it out. All right, now that this piece is out, we could remove this top piece here. And now I could better show you the problem that we're having. So that's the 15mm bolt right over there. And as you can see, that whole thing spins. So now we're gonna have to hold that so we can remove this bolt. Don't think we're gonna be reusing that. There was no other way other than just grinding it off. So I don't look forward to that second side. We're gonna leave that for later. Why don't we continue with all the steps? Now, if you're lucky enough where you're able to just directly unbolt it, then this step would have been super quick for you. But for us, it was a 1-hour detour. So hopefully we can make up some of that time back on the next couple steps. Famous last words. Now, we're about to make the cut, but before we do so, we're gonna go ahead and mark out exactly where we're gonna cut. Using the angle grinder, we're gonna cut all that out and try to make sense of these instructions. Now, the instructions tell you to make a cardboard cutout, but you know, why waste our time doing that? I don't think that's helpful. I'm gonna just draw right onto the fender because you know we're gonna replace these anyway. I'm gonna use a Sharpie and we're gonna go ahead and start. So if you notice, there's a lip over here. This is the first reference point. So this is the reference point that they make in the instructions. So we're gonna put a piece of cardboard there, and it says they want us to go 5 3/8 inch out from there. So let's do that now. Okay, so 12 inches to the rear, which is right here. We're gonna do 4-inch mark. So that's 12. Want to go 8 inches towards the rear, so I'm just gonna mark the 8-inch mark, which is right over here. 8 inches, and it wants 2 3/16. So I'm gonna actually use the inner lip here. Sorry about the shade, folks. 2 3/16 is right over here. We're gonna go 11 inches, and then at the so that's just to show us the 11-inch mark, and we're gonna go 3/8.
Now time to connect all of them.
Although it made this area a little round, let's see what they did.
Nice, Greg, nice.
That one's free of charge.
Greg found the tool a little bit better than cardboard.
Although,
Not as long, but you know.
shoot.
Highlight the shaded area, huh? When the teacher says draw a straight line.
For better or for worse, it's time to start hacking this up. We didn't take the most precise measurements. I mean, the instructions themselves, they weren't all that precise. So let's just see if we can make something out of this thing.
Let's hack it off. Catch your breath.
Woo! Now that you get this whole front part, the goal is to rotate it back and get access to the rear fender. There's gonna be like 4 13mm bolts there that we're gonna have to remove. Once we remove those, we cut off the rest. This is a workout, guys. I guess you could get a thinner die grinder. We have a thicker piece, you know, it's just more of a workout. Clearly it burns some of the paint, but you know, we're gonna go ahead and put the new fenders over this, so it shouldn't be an issue. That's out of our way. I wonder where those pesky 14mm bolts are that we are. So while we're at it, might as well take out these annoying milk jugs, which it's like 3 T20 or so, T27 actually. Take out these 3 screws, one on the bottom, 2 on the top, pull that out. Now that we've cut all the way towards the back, we're gonna remove those 4 13mm bolts and see what else we have to cut to get this fender off. What do you think, Auline? How does it look?
Better get ready for a workout if you're doing this install, guys. But it looks great.
So now that those 4 bolts are removed, the only thing that's actually holding this fender into place is just this corner right over here, that top corner. Look, as you can see, there's literally nothing else holding it into place. I'm gonna use some tin snips and I'm gonna just cut that corner, and let's start installing some stuff. What do you think? Very important for this job and for any other job, make sure you use eye protection. You don't want to go to the hospital and have someone like me take care of you when you injure yourself. So let's go ahead and just cut this bad boy. Oh, so close. So close. That's it. Wow. And this is what it should look like without that piece. Hopefully everything is right. We'll see. Let's go ahead and test fit. Basically, if it doesn't fit right away, keep cutting material off. So after test fitting several times, I realized that this back portion needs to be cut more. It's going to be really hard to do so without it being bolted onto the car. So I'm going to try to just get away with some tin snips. And lucky me, it works. So at this stage, all I've done is loosely fit those bolts over it. I had to remove lots and lots of material. As you can see there, I just cut out that entire chunk, and to be quite honest with you guys, I don't think those 4 bolts are gonna fit. They're not lined up whatsoever after I've already just lightly put in the 3 here and the 4 down there. Another thing that I've noticed is that there's actually a gap over here, which looks pretty ugly in all honesty, but let's see what happens. I'm gonna just tighten down that bolt first, and then I will work my way up and to the front. Let's see. And this is what it looks like after you tighten 7 of those screws. My suspicion was true. Those 4 bolts down there do not align, but it's okay. I don't think I need those. The last step is there are 5 holes on top of this fender. We're gonna drill 5 more holes, and then we're gonna put the nuts and bolts that came with the kit, and this side should be all done. Very first step, grab yourself a punch tool and go ahead and punch dead center. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, time to drill the 1/4-inch holes. Just as a heads up, the final size is a 1332, not a 1/4. We're gonna just finish up the rest of the holes now. I'm gonna use something a little bit smaller to start and then finish it up with the right side. Let's drop our screws in. 4. That's 5. Bottom gets a washer and a nylon lock nut. Let's do all of these by hand, and then we'll tighten them all down. And there you have it. We're done with one side. We're gonna start the other side. Now, just to kind of show you the gap, it actually looks a lot better. I mean, it's, you know, a little tighter on the top. I did not want to push it on the bottom because you strip that bolt and you're sorry out of luck. So the last piece left actually on this side is the hinge, but we're gonna have to go get new hardware because we've totally destroyed our hinge. So time to rinse and repeat. Carefully measure your second side and go ahead and cut. This time what we can do a little bit better is we'll cut all the way back. I'm kind of nervous to work next to that positive terminal, but you know what? We'll do our best. Let's go ahead and cut and continue. Let's remove those 4 bolts. Arlene gets to join me today.
Easy peasy, you guys, and the job is done. Okay, it wasn't that easy peasy, which is why you see us in different outfits. It did take quite the love of labor to go ahead and grind the fenders off, but it is totally worth it. Why don't you take a look? Now, at the expense of our hood latches. So Greg, let's get on some new hood latches.
So as Arlene mentioned, we did not want to salvage our old hinges, so we went ahead and we bought these on Amazon. I will put the link for these in the description below. These come with the upper and the lower units, and they were $19.99 and they arrive in 2 days. We're gonna bolt these bad boys in and wrap this up. So here's the replacement latch. With this tab facing the inside of the Jeep, go ahead and line the screw holes. Luckily for these Hook off-road fenders, it actually was a perfect alignment with the original fender. Now go ahead and put that washer as well as that nylon lock nut, which is actually a 13mm socket. Go ahead and grab your tool and strap it on. It's nice to have an extra set of replacement uppers
just in case we need to replace these. Now, why don't we go ahead and tighten this down and show you how it looks.
Also, in hindsight, I probably would have ordered these knowing I was going to go through with this install after reading the instructions, just because it's really difficult to take off the original hood latches, and we tried finding like DIY versions of it and we just couldn't do it. So if you're looking to get this job done, consider buying the hood latches ahead of time so you can wrap up in that same day.
For sure, buy your hood latches up front, for sure. God, that was all of 1 minute. Let's see how tightly that secures it in place. That actually feels awesome. That's not going anywhere. Let's do the other side. Now that we have our hood latches on and our hood secured, we're gonna go ahead and do one final touch. You see those 3 bolts? Those are actually body color, they're white. We're just gonna give it a quick spray paint with some of this weatherproof sealant, which is easily removable if we ever had to. Now, typically you'd wanna paint these before you install them, but as you saw, the install of those bolts could be a little tricky trying to line up the front and rear at the same time. So we're just gonna go ahead and give it a quick spray over after we've installed it. Now, one thing to mention, we really like those air vents on the rear of the fender. They are actually functional, facing the inside of the engine bay, as you see. So I wonder if it'll actually keep the engine cooler. We'll find out, I guess.
Wrap-up video. Oh, all right. Well, there you have it, you guys. These are the Hookeroad fender flares. They look great. They're functional. They are great to install, and we are super thrilled about them.
Did you say they're great?
No. Did
I was
you?
wondering, are they great?
No.
You'll get it when you watch it.
Thanks for coming along for the ride. We have so much install for you guys. So much install and
Are we good?
yeah, man.
We're good today?
Just have
Today's
too
a
many.
tough day.
It is a tough day.
So we love these fenders because they are rugged. They were relatively straightforward to install, although we recommend a Sawzall instead of a grinder, but you know, we got it done with a grinder. We like the fit and finish. They actually feel very rigid and sturdy, and they lined up with the holes on the original fender really well. So check out these Hookeroad fender flares for your Wrangler TJ if you're looking for new fenders. They're also super affordable, like they're in the mid 200s, which is pretty unheard of for fenders. Now, if you enjoyed this install, then stick around for next week, because next week we are installing a touchscreen Android Auto unit on this TJ. So why don't you make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that episode. This is also an effective cheap mod that changes a lot. So why don't we do it next week on this week's episode.
Make sure to check us out on Instagram and TikTok, all of the above. We love all your support and all your comments. Keep commenting. Tell us what you want us to do on the Jeep. And the LJ is coming, you guys. I know you're asking. It's coming soon, so stay tuned. See ya.
Would it wanna?
Be ya.